Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
The Sigourney Car Show is Saturday, July 12th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the beautiful Sigourney, Iowa Square. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, tractors, golf carts, whatever you've got, bring it to the Sigourney Car Show. Early registration is $10 and $15 the day of the show. Plus, you'll get your photos taken in front of the Memorial Fountain for $10 from 9 to 10 a.m. or 3 to 4 p.m. You can drop off or mail your registration to Keokuk County Economic Development at 112 West Washington Street in Sigourney, or get more information at the Keokuk County Economic Development Facebook page or their website. It's the Sigourney Car Show, Saturday, July 12th from 10 to 3. This Friday, July 4th, is the annual tractor pull at the Keokuk County Expo in Sigourney, powered by Champion Seed and sanctioned by the ECI Pullers Association. Friday, July 4th at 6:30 p.m. in Sigourney, Iowa, the Keokuk County Expo 4th of July celebration tractor pull, followed by the fireworks at dusk. Be there! Make plans to spend the night of the 4th of July at the Keswick Tavern, as Luke Fox will be performing live from 8 to 11 p.m. with no cover charge. The show will be outside in the alley. Stop by and enjoy some live outdoor entertainment with Luke Fox at the Keswick Tavern. Luke is an Iowa country artist who plays Americana, roots, traditional, folk, and a whole lot more. So wrap up your 4th of July at the Keswick Tavern with Luke Fox from 8 to 11 p.m. And welcome in to Tuesday Night Tune-Up here on Steve Shuttler Media, Facebook and YouTube, also on the Skunk River Radio Facebook page. And maybe you're listening to this later on this evening on Skunk River Radio with online radio. We do thank Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch for being our host venue. We thank all of our sponsors for being on board with TNT. That includes Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Motors, James Family Greenhouse, Copeland Auto Body, Nutrient Ag Solutions in Keswick, Iowa, Sigourney Body Shop, and Julie's Homestyle Cafe. Let's get things rolling. We've got a full crew. It's all hands on deck tonight. We've got Safe, Curtis, and Ashley from Pizza Ranch standing by. Safe, take it away.
Well, welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We have Ashley back here with us tonight. You were gone last week. We did miss that. I tell you what, the sign did not break because of me, by the way. If you hear anything about a broken sign, that was not my fault. 100%. That was all Neil. We're going to throw Neil under the bus. He's not here to defend himself, so we're just going to go ahead and chalk that. Neil. There we go. Blame it on Neil. I like it. So, Ashley, you guys have had a lot of exciting things going on here in the last week at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. You guys had another one of your wonderful community impact nights. I know you have some very exciting things to talk about with how last week that community impact night went.
So we did a community impact night for the family of a little boy who had just turned 6. He needed open heart surgery. Oh, wow. We doubled our last highest amount, so we were able to raise $1,524 for this family in just over 2 hours.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was my first one. I'm really happy that the way that it turned out.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's incredible.
And tell us a little bit more, with these community impact nights, how do they come about? How, what's the protocol? What fits into that? What doesn't fit into that? How do you guys determine, what all that is?
So we, as Pizza Ranch, we're not just a pizza and chicken joint. We're here to help the community.
Certainly.
So
Absolutely.
If somebody has a good cause, if somebody has a need that we can fill for them, we want to step in and do it. Like, I'm actively looking for, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to do?
Yeah. So this was obviously a horrible situation that you're trying to help out with, but so things like that, obviously, but also, if I'm not mistaken and I understand correctly, clubs and things like that around town that are trying to raise funds, whether it be, dance teams or sporting teams or, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Y, things like that. Do those all kind of fit into that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Please reach out to us. Like, we would love to host an event for you. there's no losers here.
Yeah, right.
Like,
And
that's
we would
great.
love to do these things.
yeah, that's awesome. And
Again, that's another great thing that Pizza Ranch does in our community. For people that do not know that, it's just truly amazing what you guys are wanting to invest back into this community, which is very important.
yeah, I agree 100%. Safe. I think it's amazing that you're able to do that in the breadth of your normal business and make such a positive impact in so many different ways. So if there's a group out there that's interested in having a similar thing, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you and your team here to maybe begin that conversation and figure that out?
So you can either email us at oskaloosa@pizzaranch.com. You can call the store. You could come into the store, although I may not be here, or you can call me directly on my cell phone, which is 319-573-5713. Again, my name is Ashley. And just tell me what you have going on, because we really want to do these. We've been doing like one a month. I want to do one a week.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. I
There you
mean,
go. So anyone listening, if you
Yeah.
have a club of some sort, a church youth group that you're needing to raise money for, someone in your family that's ill and you need to raise funds for a medical bill, please reach out to the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. It's just that's really cool that you're taking that initiative to want to step up and better the community. You don't necessarily always hear about that. And so it's just truly amazing work that you guys are trying to do here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch.
Thanks, Safe.
It really is, and it just kind of is that fabric of a smaller community, right? That we come together and we do things like that, and small businesses are such a huge part of that. So thank you for what you do and your team here, because you just don't hear about that a lot of similar things in today's world, and it's fascinating, and I think it's great.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very
so
much.
we are now into the month of July, which means that it is about time for some new Pizza Ranch monthly specials to
New
be coming
specials.
out. Yes.
Okay, so for the month of July, if you call or place an online order, we will give you a one-topping large pizza for $9.99. That is for carry-out only. However, if you're going to go hang out in the alley, for Thankful Thursdays, if you're going to go watch the band play, if you have stuff to do, call us, give us that order. $10 for a large one-topping pizza. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an awesome deal to round out July. And July obviously starts off with a bang with the 4th of July, and
Literally, yes.
yeah, and then we kind of get into the hot days of the summertime. So don't make mom cook tonight. Call
Right.
and get the pizza.
It's too
and-
hot to cook.
Yeah, stop and
is.
grab
It
it on
does
your way
look
home.
like it.
Yeah.
And then you got a great deal and a obviously a great pizza too. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ashley, for coming on. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back with our interview with Evan here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
When you need a break, Pizza Ranch is ready. Rough day or good day, sometimes you just need a buffet. And we've got all your favorites always ready to serve. Come to the place that puts a smile on your face. Make it a buffet day at Pizza Ranch.
If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time. And Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Julie's Homestyle Cafe at 216 South Market in Oskaloosa is a small place with a great big taste of home cooking. Established in 2009, Julie's Homestyle Cafe serves breakfast, lunch. You can have a slice of pie, dessert, and soft drinks. Julie's Homestyle Cafe is a veteran-owned cafe serving traditional breakfast and homemade lunch meals just like Mom used to make. Find more information at julieshomestyle.cafe.com or follow their page on Facebook. Got a problem under the hood? At Sinclair Napa, we're here to help. No matter if you're tuning up the family car, gearing up your heavy-duty truck, or maintaining your boat, we have the know-how you need to keep your ride running strong. Whether it's top-notch parts, expert advice, or unbeatable customer service, Sinclair Napa is your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Because at Sinclair Napa, we don't just sell parts, we're here to help you get the job done. Stop by today in Sigourney, Montezuma, Williamsburg, Centerville, or Ottumwa, or visit us at sinclairnapa.com. All right, we are back here on Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are live on Steve Shetler Media, Facebook and YouTube, also on the Skunk River Radio Facebook page, and we are airing tonight on Skunk River Radio. We thank you for tuning in. However, you're consuming our show this evening. We are live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Great place to get in on a Tuesday night. Enjoy some pizza. That's pizza and chicken put together. Pizza and chicken. I make new words up every Tuesday night, pretty much every day on the job. We've got the guys in the Peanut Gallery leading the charge here tonight. Let's go to Safe and the rest of the gang here on Tuesday Night Tune-Up.
All right, welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we have Evan Jones with us here tonight. He races in the Pro Sprint class at the Knoxville Raceway. Evan, thanks for coming on and joining us here tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Evan, you are in the racing world now, racing in the Pro Sprints. I know you have a lot of deep roots with the Higday family and whatnot, and why don't you tell us a little bit of your background there and what's led to getting into a sprint car and racing at Knoxville Raceway every weekend?
Yeah, so basically it all started with my dad working on Larry Ball Jr.'s car back in the early 2000s. That's what originally got us into racing, and my sister fell in love with it, before I ever did, and she talked my dad into getting go-karts. Well, when she started racing go-karts, I thought it was cool, so then I wanted to race go-karts, and it just, escalated from there. But
sibling rivalry.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Who usually came out ahead?
Well, we only got on the racetrack one time, and she actually punted me off the racetrack. But
that made Thanksgiving interesting.
Exactly.
I bet.
Yep.
Sisters can be vicious.
I'm
They
waiting
can.
for you and Cole to get on a track together. That could be interesting.
I've heard that a lot.
I bet you have.
Unfortunately, with one truck and one trailer and one gear for whatever track we're going to, and then he's my pit crew and I'm his pit crew. So
All right, folks, we need a trailer, a truck, another gear, and a couple extra guys, and we can make this happen, Curtis.
oh man, I don't know.
wish too hard. We
Yeah,
can make
no,
it happen.
Honestly, I don't know that I would do super good with that, because
That'd be hard.
I think my focus would not necessarily be on only what I'm doing. I would also be focused on what he's doing or what's going on with him, and it would be tough, So I don't know that that'll ever happen for us. Maybe it would at some point. I'm not sure, I guess, but it would. It's something that I haven't fully worked through in my mind. So.
That'd be hard racing against your sister.
It was fun. Well, it lasted. We'll just say that.
It lasted.
It was my first time ever on the racetrack too.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Well,
so
she did
it
not
was,
pull any punches.
Hey, I tell you what, she just let it all hang out.
Oh yeah,
It's
she let it
Talk
go.
about
but-
introduction by fire.
Yeah, exactly. And she says every time we talk about it, she always says that she didn't mean to do it. But
Oh boy.
you watch the video back, it
You
looks
watch,
pretty.
rewind that.
Yeah,
So you find
exactly.
it real quick.
It looks like she meant to do it, but no. We started racing go-karts, and it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating. Well, further on, I started racing the Maxxis series and traveling all across the country with the go-kart stuff. And then when she got into sprint cars, I kind of stopped racing go-karts because we were more focused on the sprint car thing, And she got in a really bad wreck at 34 Raceway in Burlington, which ended up screwing up her neck and her arm and everything. So, yeah. So then I ended up getting in the car, and I raced it for just a couple of races, and then we put Cade in the car, at Knoxville, and that's, where our bond with the Higday family really started. We knew them before, but not, it was kind of a first name basis kind of thing, and then we decided to put them in the car, and we've, bursted into a massive friendship, and now we're working out of the same shop with my car and his car and both teams. So, but yeah, so now it's, we took a few seasons off, and now we're back into it, and I'm racing every weekend again.
So how does that go in your mind, having another team in a shop with you to kind of maybe bounce some ideas off of and stuff like that? How helpful is that for you, especially since you're newer into this?
Right. Yeah, no, it's extremely helpful, especially, Josh been racing since, the late 90s, and having his knowledge on driving and on car setup, and then Cade, who he's taught probably everything he knows, and me and Cade bond really well, so we kind of have a similar driving style, so we can, throw ideas off of each other every Saturday night, and then when we're in the shop, Josh can tell us, when I'm racing, he can kind of watch and see, obviously he's got Cade's stuff to worry about, but with the brief times that he gets to watch me, he can tell me, the things that we should change or, we're thinking about changing, stuff like that. So having them there is awesome.
I think that's great. Obviously, they're a wealth of knowledge, and they've been at it for years, like you said, and just having that, if you will, that support system kind of built in.
Yep.
So that they may not necessarily tell you everything there is to know, but at the same time, they make sure you're going in the right direction,
Yep.
and probably help talk through things for you and help you. It's easy just to tell somebody something, right? But if you can kind of lead them down the path and they can get to it themselves, sometimes that's the type of lesson that
Exactly.
sticks in there a little bit better.
Yep.
So that's really cool. So how's the season treated you so far this year?
Not too bad. The first 5 races we were pretty consistent, top 10s. Over the Jersey Freeze night weekend, I actually got in a wreck, and we've been out since. So, but it's kind of been, that's been a learning curve as well. But before that, we were running around the 8th and 10th in points, fighting back and forth. But it was a really good race, and we were learning every weekend, getting better between me, Dakar, my dad, and Jeremy, the crew guys, were figuring stuff out better and what we should do setup wise. But it's kind of taking a toll on, the bank account, the funds, I reckon. So we're just trying to get back to where we were.
Yeah, no, I'm all too familiar with with that. That's being at our shop here in town. It's one thing we tell guys that are trying to learn is the biggest detriment is learning is not being able to do it right. And I know Safe when you ran, we had that conversation more than a few times of if we can run all the laps. Yep. We're going to learn as much as possible,
right.
And that's the key. And you hit the nail on the head. It's a big financial commitment.
It is.
And
it is, for
and
sure.
it doesn't take long to tear up a whole ton of money in any type of racing.
No, it doesn't.
And that's that sucks. Well, hopefully you guys can get things kind of patched back together and rebuilt and be ready to push off and have some more fun as the summer goes on here.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, thankfully I got, some great sponsors that are there to help me for that. So we should be back this weekend.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hopefully.
And so one thing is you're racing sprint cars and you come from the go-kart racing background. And what are some of the things you can take away from running the go-karts that kind of translate a little bit over to running into the sprint car side?
Well, especially in Knoxville, it's not like a place like Adams County or 34 where you got to be up on the wheel and it's cowboy up the whole time. You got to be very steady, especially in qualifying. You don't want to, spend all that time seesawing the wheel. It's more, in flat carts, it was kind of Dad's thing that he used to tell me and Jason that if we didn't move the steering wheel at all, that's when we were going to be the fastest, which is kind of correct, especially
very much.
Yeah,
right,
all about that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I especially like restricted go-karts. I think that in today's world, I think all it really teaches anybody to do is how to run into each other. But,
yeah, right.
But I think your dad's exactly right. The least amount you can move the steering wheel is the faster you're going to go because you're so limited on horsepower, you know, and then that skill is now the foundation for what you build everything else off of.
Right.
I know Cole did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Yep.
All the Carter family, you know, all those guys have done that. The DeYoungs, all those guys were multi-champion go-kart racers.
Right.
And
Yeah. I used to race with McGuire. Back
yeah,
in the day.
you know, and it just absolutely builds that foundation that then just is there to build, you know, to pile everything else on, and whether you go, you know, the stock car modified route or you go the sprint car deal or even the wingless, you know, sprint car stuff, it still goes back to being smooth and not trying to upset the race car and just try to do it. Now, like you say, sometimes there's other tracks you go to
Right. where you have to.
it is not the Knoxville, you know, deal. It's you know, you gotta do a lot more inputs. And would you agree or disagree? To me, looking at it from the outside, I've never driven a sprint car in competition in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But the difference to me is the fact that on those smaller tracks, as the moisture leaves those tracks, it's not just a run the right foot on the floor and,
Right,
and
exactly.
steer.
It's-
you know,
it's
and a lot of times
big
that is
fight.
Knoxville.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
all night long. Whereas on the smaller tracks, it's significantly more about running both pedals.
Yep.
Being on there, you know, if you've I guess I'm not familiar enough with the pro sprints if you can run the wing slider and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
you can.
But yeah, you know, it to me it's almost like in NASCAR, you know, you go from Martinsville to Talladega, right? I mean, it's just, you know, things that you maybe do at Talladega are not anything that you would do at, you know, at
Right,
Martinsville or
big
Dover or
differences.
whatever, you know, so.
And the difference, you know, between the go-kart thing and especially the crate motor, because the crate motor is all about momentum. You know, you go into the corner and you get all
Scrubbing speed
crazy
is
sideways,
death.
and
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah.
take you 2-3 laps to get yourself back up to speed.
Yeah,
so.
you not only ruined that lap, you ruined the next
You
three.
ruined the next couple.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. And all you did was slide the car.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that you can do in a 360 or a 410 and be fine going into the next corner,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
But that's what's nice about being in the go-karts back in the day is that taught me, you know, how smooth I got to be. And of course, it's a bigger difference with the suspension and everything
Sure.
on the sprint car with the shocks and the more power. But the more I've ran it, the more I was starting to get comfortable with that and getting more smooth. And smoother you can be, the faster you're going to be.
Yeah, that's
So-
just it. The first few nights you do it, it's like trying to drink from a
Yeah,
water hose,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You're just like all
Yep.
these inputs and like
Yep.
you know.
Exactly.
Then as you do it, you know, and say if you even remember this, I remember us vividly having this conversation. It's like, yeah, I'm starting to get the hang of it because things are slowing down.
Yep.
Yes.
You know,
It's true.
It's
very true.
And all of a sudden, it's like I'm not just trying to survive.
Yep.
I'm able to decipher what's
Exactly.
going on.
It's
It's hard.
think,
It's
so.
a fine line.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
You know.
And
Yeah, 100%.
you know, I think the thing is too. You know, you were talking a little bit ago about how it's financially a lot to race a sprint car, especially when you wreck one. And you were talking a little bit about you have some great sponsors and stuff. It takes a village
Oh, yeah.
to make a sprint car team go. And I know
Very
you have a
much so.
lot of wonderful people
Yep.
behind you, not only helping you there at the track on Saturdays or Fridays or wherever you guys are racing, but you also have some great sponsors on the car. And we'd just like to open this time here for you to talk about who all you have helping you and who you have on the car this year.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, I got to go with Matt Jones Trucking. You know, my dad. He's always supported me and Jason with everything we've wanted to do. You know, he's tried his best, no matter where we were at financially, to get me and Jason to try and fulfill our dreams, I guess I could say.
That's cool.
So he's number one supporter. The next would be Josh Phillips with Truebill Construction. You probably talked to him before in the pits.
Oh, yeah.
Josh has been supporting me and Jason since we started in sprint cars, and he's also a supporter of Cade. So, you know, whether it's getting a barrel of fuel for the shop or getting a tire at the racetrack, whatever it is, Josh is always there to help us. And then Lynn Donahue with Jersey Freeze. Lynn's been helping us since we ever had our first go-kart. Jason had our first go-kart, and he's always been there, you know, to support us because Lynn's a great guy. You know, he's from Monroe, we're from Monroe, and
Good
He's
ice cream, too.
Yeah. Oh, great ice cream! If you ever
We got to
get a
plug
chance-
that real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah,
It's hard
100%.
not to talk about Jersey Freeze without
Yeah,
talking
no
about
doubt,
the ice
no
cream.
doubt.
If you're ever
Very
going
good.
through Monroe, it's the best ice cream you'll ever have.
It's absolutely worth the stop.
Oh,
It's
100%.
always
And
worth
it's
the
cool
stop.
what they
Always
do
worth
for
the
the
stop.
racetrack, too, with the KROC, with helping with that.
Very, very
fund. I mean,
involved in that
it
in that
is.
side
It's
of
really
things,
good.
and
It
that's
is. And the
that's-
360 Foundation,
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, no, them three are my biggest sponsors. Of course, I got my family, my mom and my sister. They, whether it's tear offs at the racetrack or washing my suit at home, or my sister giving me pointers on different kinds of racetracks. She's been great with that this year. There's been
That's awesome.
plenty of times where if I didn't have her there, it would have been a completely different story. But the Higday family, Josh and Don, they're great people. Cade, Maggie, even the dogs. We'll shout out Hank and Shadow. Hank and Shadow are great. But no,
Shop
Cade,
dogs.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, when Cade was racing our car, we used to joke that Cade and Maggie were like my second parents because I was always with them. So they've been massive supporters of me, and my grandma and grandpa, Dan, Linda, Sharon, Gordon, my whole family. They always come out to watch whenever they can. So I got a village behind me, like you
You
said.
do,
Yeah.
and you ha-
and
you
that's what it
absolutely have
takes,
to. It does. Any form of racing, you have to
Yeah.
have that from sport compacts all the way through World Outlaw Racing of any form of that. I mean, it takes a village.
Yep. And again, it's not just simply dollars and cents, right? It's assistance, and somebody once asked me that, well, what does it take to race? And I said, every single thing you have if you want to be good at it,
Yep.
right? And I don't mean that just in dollars, although
Right.
that's the easiest.
That's a big part
Yeah,
of it,
that's
yep.
the easiest way to do it. But
Yep.
time in the shop, and you think about it on a random, on the drive down
Yep.
here, or on the drive back, you're thinking
Yep.
about what you may do for Saturday, or what setup change you're going to make, or
Yep.
I got to finish putting XYZ back together when I get to the shop. That's
Right.
that's it. And man, I tell you that's I think you're doing the right thing. I think you're you're trying to learn, and that's.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, and just continue to make laps, and I have no doubt that you continue to do that. We're looking forward to seeing the headline with you in Victory Lane soon. So
cool, yeah.
keep building it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Coming this weekend, we'll have Joe Simbro down in the. I don't know if you guys know Joe
I know
Simbro.
Joe. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, 305 racer, and he raced 410s here the last couple of
he
years,
did.
whatever. He's going to be down there helping us from now on. So, we're
that's
going to
good.
be.
He's got some
we're
good
gonna be
knowledge.
Yeah, good amount of knowledge. to help you.
exactly,
Yeah.
not just from the Hig Days and Jody Hegwood, but Joe's going to be down there helping us and helping me with how I'm driving.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
and
gonna be
a lot of
massive-
times that that ability to be somewhat of a driver coach
Yep.
can just been there, done that, and Cole would probably not necessarily agree with that.
He's over here like, yeah, Dad, here we go.
when I try
The
and
dad
tell him
thing. My
something,
dad will tell you the
yeah,
same thing, that I won't listen to him.
But yeah, it's and no different than you. He's lucky. He's got a lot of guys in his corner that he knows he can count on to help him, and if he's got a question, he's not shy to reach out. And, and that's
how you gotta be.
Yeah, that's the way
how
you
you
get
gotta
better,
be.
right? If you don't know the answer, start asking questions. Right?
I'll leave it with one thing that I heard from the dude, Daniel Wasowski. Him and I were talking one day when he was helping Mason Daniel out.
Yep.
And he's like, if there's a day where you're not working on your car, thinking about your car, or thinking about running the next race, you're not going to win.
No. And that is
That's from the
truth.
dude himself,
That's the
Yeah,
truth.
who has
who's
won a
maybe-
few races in his
Yeah,
lifetime.
just a few.
Maybe
Just a few.
He's
Yeah.
only won a couple.
Yeah.
So.
Well, only a
Yeah.
couple. No.
Maybe double digits.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. He's won a few
Or
good races.
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
one of the best that's ever lived.
I argue to say that. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So.
no, I think that's right. And I don't think that that's just limited to sprint cars.
No,
I think
every-
that's
No, that's everything.
about any level, about anything, and that's not to say that there aren't other things in life, but at the same time,
Right.
you know.
You want to be good in
Yeah,
in any
you know.
kind of race car.
Right.
You got to put everything you got.
lot,
into
yeah,
it.
going to be a lot of work and a lot of
late nights in the shop.
lots of effort, and
Yeah.
go from there. So awesome. Well,
Absolutely.
thanks for being on
Yeah,
tonight,
no
man.
problem.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it,
for coming
buddy.
on,
Appreciate
Evan.
it.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we'll be back with some results and other talk about going on in the racing world, and we'll get Cole back on here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Krista Sellers, driver of the 7K Figure 8 race truck. I race at local figure 8 tracks across southern Iowa. One of my good sponsors is CJ at Sigourney Motors. Next time you or someone you know is looking for a good used vehicle or in need of some minor repairs, you can contact CJ at Sigourney Motors. Give them a call at 641-224-8056 or stop by 705 East Jackson Street in Sigourney, Iowa. Hope to see you at the races or at CJ's shop.
Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You gotta stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Krista Sellers, driver of the 7K Figure.
At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
And we thank all of our sponsors here on Steve Shetler Media and Skunk River Radio for bringing us Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Again, we're always live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Get in here for some chicken and some pizza on a Tuesday night. Bring the kids, as it's Kids Night Out at Pizza Ranch in Oskaloosa. Sigourney Body Shop is also our sponsor. Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Sinclair Napa. We got Sigourney Motors, James Family Greenhouse, Copeland Auto Body, and Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick. Let's go back to the guy. Oh, we've added a new face to the panel here tonight. We've got
sit in between them, so
yes,
we don't have any issues.
Safe
here.
Grafke is splitting up the Vanderwalls.
We were about to make another new word there. It sounded like, Steve. We're doing good with that tonight. You were almost 2 for 2.
I will let you screw up the words next, Safe. Take it away.
All right, race fans. Well, this is the fun part of the night where we get to talk about different results and different things happening in the racing world. So we're going to start with everyone's favorite, the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. That's Curtis's favorite series to watch.
Absolutely. So. It's except I can't watch them. I don't have dirt vision. I've only got flow. So
well, it's really expensive, and I think we might leave it at that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, no doubt. So
halfway.
We're in the middle of the season.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point. I did say that. I wasn't going to say that right. Halfway point of the season. Half down, another half to go. Great racing over the weekend. They were all together at Cedar Lake with the late models. They do that whole deal up there.
Cool.
Kind of a weird. It's kind of cool, kind of weird. The track changes so much. How the sprint car guys don't always like being with the late model guys. Late model guys don't always like being with sprint car guys. What a surprise! What a surprise!
Yeah. No. Kind of prefer two different tracks between the two groups. So.
I think they do, because it seems like some people are a little bit of drama queens when it comes to getting everyone in the World Racing Group together.
Namely who, Safe?
We don't need to talk about that. I think a few of them have left and gone to a different touring sprint car series.
That might be the truth.
That could be a thing that happens, and we could see more of that in the coming years. I would say it would not be weird at all, in my opinion. So,
I think you're right, buddy. I think you're right.
But we did have they did have some decent racing happen. I don't know it. It never seems to be a lot of changes as far as people moving from the front of the pack and going backwards, or the back of the pack coming forwards here with the World Outlaw late or sprint cars here lately. So normally the guys that have been starting up front have been winning, and that was the case for Carson Macedo this weekend. He started first and won.
Yep.
And then you had David Gravel, who started third, get second. And this is no surprise. Another guy who's been in the top three a lot. He has made some of the most money out of any World Outlaw sprint car driver here in the last month, and that's Buddy Kofoid. What a surprise to say that the Roth Enterprise car was in the top three once again.
Yeah, he's really stepped it up this year. And I think if David Gravel didn't get out to such a big early season point lead, the way Buddy's been running, if he was able to do that earlier in the year, I think that we
well,
could
if
have
he has a strong second half, which so far he has, I think it could get really interesting here.
You might.
And we're going to go ahead and go to the point standings.
You could very well be right. I think Bill Balog kind of continued a strong run too, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
From the Huset's weekend.
Yeah.
Where he did
he's
awesome.
been doing decent really the whole year with them, and lately you're starting to hear more in that about top 6 conversation. I can't say top 5 because that hasn't fully been the case, but he has been a top 6 car. Yeah. Getting consistent even more yet in time trials and whatnot, and that shows here with the top 10 in points, and David Gravel is still leading, but his lead has been cut down quite significantly. At one point, Buddy Kofoid was at a 600-point deficit, and he has dug himself up to a 184-point deficit.
Yeah.
So
it's still a lot of points, but
it is, but it's
doable.
It is doable for him to win the point series still, which the way he's running, and honestly, Gravel has not been as hot in time trials and his heat races. He's been getting a little bit lucky here and there, and he's still having some strong features, but the winning that Buddy's been doing and his time trials have been better, and his heat races have gone more his way. We could definitely see a point shift here by the time they get to Charlotte, which could be set up for probably one of the better, 4 days at Charlotte that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Who else we got at the top of the point standings?
You have Carson Macedo, who's in third now. Yep. He was back in sixth. He's managed to mosey his way up there. He's minus 210, which normally this half in the season is where that 41 team really starts to come alive and they start firing on more cylinders, especially before Knoxville Nationals, which is crazy to say that we are getting pretty close to the Knoxville Nationals.
What are we, 5 weeks?
5.5.
5.5, yeah. So,
I mean, it's crazy to think about that.
That's you're not wrong. 360 start July 30th or 31st.
Yeah.
Is that right? So yeah.
I mean, it's close. It's really close.
It is, and I think you're right. So the top 3 to be separated by 210 points. I think you said.
Yeah.
That's has the potential that in 4 weeks when we get to Knoxville, and obviously Knoxville's not a points race for them, but at the same time, by the time we get there, it could be pretty dicey. So
it could get interesting. Cole, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty close in points, and I guess you'll have to see what Buddy can do. I think he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
I don't think over the last 3 or so weeks there's been anybody hotter.
No, over the last month, it's been the Buddy Kofoid show.
Yeah, I think on even
that Toyota's running now. I mean, they've had a lot of issues. Toyota has had some strides, and now it seems like they're really starting to get that Toyota race program on a new level.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that as they've continued to become better on the engine side of things, I think that's directly correlated to their better time trial situation, and then that just leads into the better heat race and the better starting position in the feature and all that stuff. Now, I know last weekend to drive to third, I think he started 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So he was still able to pass some cars and was going forward. But overall, I think you're exactly right. I think that they continue to fine tune that, get the setup better. Obviously, he's very, very talented. So
you're talking about one of the most prestigious names in sprint car racing. You can't talk about owners without Roth Enterprise being up there. I mean, they've been a staple in sprint car racing for so many years.
No doubt.
I mean, you look at the caliber of drivers that have been in their car, and it's literally second to none. I can't really think of any team that's really had much better except for Tony Stewart Racing, and that's just because he had Steve Kinzer, and
Yeah,
I mean, that's
you're exactly right. I mean, anytime if you're talking about the greatest owners in sprint car history, they're in that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, bar none, in my opinion. So
It is, and so then you have Logan Schuchart, Sheldon Haudenschild, and Donnie Schatz, Gio Silsey, Bill Baylog, and then two that kind of are starting to get into some conversations here. You have Chris Wyndham.
he's made he struggled the first several years in a wing
he
car,
has.
making the transition from the non-wing stuff. But the last probably month or so, he's also been putting together some pretty solid nights, and is starting to look stronger and stronger each week.
Yes, and then you have, in 10th, a kid that's now located in Knoxville. You have Garrett Williamson, who has come quite a long ways.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, again, that's a young man that's done a lot of the learning, in that type of car on a very big stage against extremely tough competition. You know, and they say steel sharpens steel, but at the same time, that's that's a big mountain to climb, and he's putting one foot in front of the other and getting it done.
They have, absolutely. And so, and one thing I want to touch on before we talk about arguably one of the hottest touring sprint car series out there, the High Limits, I want to talk about Knoxville real quick.
Yep.
Where we have a kid who has came in here and has started dominating the 410 sprint cars at Knoxville, knocking Brian Brown out of contention for points right now. Going for a lot of wins. Ryan Timms.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
He's been doing great. You know, he kind of burst on the scene, 2 or 3 years ago. And
he did.
And had a really good summer, and then kind of focused on the USAC midget non-wing stuff for a while still dabbling in the wing sprint cars. And I think he still does that a little bit. But
he does.
But his focus has been on the wing deal. And, man, you're right, at Knoxville, they've turned it on over the last couple months.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's always been, and I hate to say this, it's been the Brian Brown show. Honestly, I mean, it has been. I mean, you look at every Friday night or Saturday night at Knoxville, who won the 410s? Oh, Brian Brown. Well, now it's kind of like, there's a new kid on the scene, and he's coming in hot and swinging hard.
Yeah,
so.
and there's the other usual suspects. You know,
there are.
Obviously Brian didn't win every race every year, but there's another handful of guys that are in contention. But Ryan's has jumped to the top of the pack for sure.
And then one other thing to talk about real quick is Tyler Walker.
Yeah. So what? 3 weeks ago, he got behind the wheel of a car for a couple races in California, and now he's doing. Well, I guess the first few nights of PA Speed Week got rained out, but now I think he's got a couple nights under his belt.
And he's got the old Radabad car, not actually Radabad Gaming, but
it looks very similar.
Very similar, yep. And goes out there with a broken tie rod and still finishes.
Yeah, so at Lincoln there wasn't a ton of passing at all, and he started more towards the back. He transferred from the B main. He passed some cars in the B main, and he went forward in the A main.
He did.
For being out of the car, was it 8 years? Is that right?
8 years
that he's been
out,
since he drove a sprint car,
and I mean, and pretty fresh out of rehab too.
Yeah, so he had a lot of life issues. And thankfully for him, kudos to him and his family and support system and
the racing community.
Yeah, that helped him through that, and I think that the racing community's done a good job of kind of welcoming back. I think a lot of people are excited to see the Tyler Walker of old. Now, I don't know that we're going to get the Tyler Walker of 15 years ago when he was one of the biggest names in the industry. However, I still think it's awesome. In the right direction. Yeah, I still think it's awesome
cool
for him.
For being a kid growing up watching him and then buying the video game and playing it.
Yeah, being him in the video game,
this
right?
This is so huge. I mean, it's like it's so cool to see this. And I'm really happy for the racing community.
Yep.
I'm really happy for Tyler and his family. I mean, this is the most exciting thing that could have happened for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, in my opinion, kudos to him for taking back control, and
it's
the things
amazing.
The things that he's battled, we obviously don't wish those on anyone, and
we do
not. Again, kudos to him and his family and support team.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk a little bit here, high limits racing.
Yep.
Cole's favorite racing. Right, Cole?
They were down Wheatland at Lucas Oil for 3 nights last week,
were,
right?
yes. And so on the final night, what they call the Diamond Classic.
Yep.
So great racing down there, 25,000 to win. Guy who we really haven't talked a whole lot about in Victory Lane this year is Sunshine Tyler Courtney.
Yeah,
getting it done.
I think that's his first high limit
It
win
is,
and
of the
only
year.
his second sprint car win of the year.
Yeah,
You know,
which is weird. A couple of years ago, it was he won everything.
Yeah, so he won the All-Star deal and or maybe was close, and then last year was second in high limit. So he won Saturday night. I think Aaron Reitzel was second Saturday night, and he won Thursday night. And then Rico was third Saturday night, and I think he won. Did he win Friday night?
Yes, he won Friday night.
So those three had a pretty amazing deal, and then to go along with Reitzel's good weekend, it got even better.
It did. So here is the exciting thing. World of Outlaw points, how they do it, is mainly based off of how you do time trial, is a big part of it. And for that, we have seen people get out to major points jumps.
600 points that we talked
600
about
points.
earlier, right?
We're talking 600 points. All right, here we go, Cole. You ready for this?
Cole loves math.
Cole loves math. Aaron Reitzel is your new points leader. He is the 4th points leader in the High Limit Series this year. Brad Sweet is now 2nd in points, and he's only 9 points back. Behind that, you have Sunshine with 18 points back. Behind that, you have Rico, 31 points back. And after that, you have...
Is that Brent Marks?
Brent Marks, yeah. For some reason, I thought that was someone else, but it's not. So Brent Marks at 47 points back.
So the top 5 in high limit are separated by 47
points compared to Outlaw, whose top 4 are by 280 points.
Yeah. So obviously a different points format between the two.
If you want to talk about something that is more exciting for your fans than knowing that literally the next race they go to, there could be another points change for the lead, I don't know what can make you more excited than a race fan than that. And that is what the High Limits have been doing when they decided to start this series each and every single week. And I do not know how much longer it's going to take for the World of Outlaws to figure out what is happening, but this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it is the most fun you can have going to a track and knowing something could change tonight. Literally.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that, you know, the High Limit guys just really looked at what the Outlaws were doing, and they picked the things that they didn't like or they thought that they could do better. And I think they did. They just attacked those, and I think that they've put together a very good, a very good on-track product, but also, the way their point system is and the mix of the teams and the way they get the fans involved and stuff like that. I think it's just a really neat thing, and I agree with you. While the Outlaw deal could get good, and we hope it does.
We do.
Let's face it. What is good right now is High Limit. High Limit's very exciting.
And to go along with that, they're going to be on FS1 at Eldora for the Joker's Jackpot now, not the Joker's Wild anymore, Joker's Jackpot.
Yep.
Which is good to see they're going. That's the other cool thing about them. The Outlaws have always been, it's just the World Outlaws, and it's like a regular race, and then they have their specials. It's called, this or that. They name their races after different things that we get with a high limit, which would be anything.
Yeah, casino related. Based, yeah.
But that's so cool that they have honed in on that.
It's that theme, right?
It's a theme where the Outlaws really don't have anything other than, oh, yeah, it's the World Outlaws. Okay, well, great. You're going off of just tradition at this point, but they're taking it instead and going, this is an event inside of itself with the best drivers in the country. And it's so cool to see that. I'm serious when sprint car fans can't be any more excited for what's happening in sprint car racing until the High Limit Series came on. Honestly.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that they've done a very good job of doing exactly what you said. They don't just put on races. They put on events.
Yes.
And that event happens to include a race. and it's awesome.
It kind of reminds me now of the MLB, which would be the World Outlaws, and the Savannah Bananas,
Yeah.
which would be the highlight. Honestly,
Yep.
they put the fans first,
Yep.
and that's what you have to do
Yep.
to get people to show up to come to a race.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a from a fan standpoint, right, or a track promoter series aspect. I think that it's a wonderful case study in a different approach and kind of bringing and trying some fresh things. Right? Has everything they've tried worked?
No,
absolutely not. But they're not afraid to do that.
No, they're not. That's the thing. So okay, let's talk about Cole's favorite racing. Cole, you ready for this?
Take off the
Are
wings.
you ready for this?
Put
Take
on
off
the
the
fenders.
wings, put on the fenders, change a couple other things,
Maybe
run a
if you-
Vic Hill Ford in it. We're going to talk about some World Outlaw late model racing. Cole, do you know who won over the weekend with the World Outlaw late models? You probably don't, do you?
No, I think I saw Tim McCready won.
He did. Tim McCready getting back into victory lane again.
Yeah.
That car is starting to come back, and Tim is starting to
From 12th,
find it. From 12th,
by the
yeah.
way,
from
against
12th
against a
car
stellar
that-
field.
yeah. Oh man, it was packed. Bobby Pierce got second. He started on the pole.
Yep. So
On the pole,
that's
and then you
pretty
had Nick
impressive.
Hoffman, who started fifth, and then behind that you had another very hard charging car of Ryan Gustin.
Came from 14th.
He did, and then you have your rookie of the year right now, who's Drake Troutman. He started fourth, got fifth. That kid has been a name popping up in these top fives lately, and
He
he's
has
got
been.
some momentum behind him.
And I read or heard something here a week or two ago that his team put out that they are on track to run like 125 or 150 races this year.
Is that not nuts?
That's absolutely phenomenal.
That's a lot of races in a summer.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So
it is, and so they have their big race coming up here over the weekend.
Yep.
The Gopher 50, which is one of my favorite races to watch. They'll be at Deer Creek, and
unbelievably good racetrack.
It is. It is such a fun track.
It's a great size. It's a unbelievable layout. The fans are close to the action. I mean, it's a very fun event.
So who's going to go for a swim?
Who?
Let's start with Cole.
Up there, I think Bobby Pierce will do it because it normally gets around the top.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean that's a great pick, and I think he's right. I would say the smart money's on him, although I wouldn't bet against the next few guys that we've seen there. I think Drake Troutman's going to be strong. I think that that Ryan Gustin's going to be strong.
So who are you picking?
But if I had to pick, and I can't pick Bobby Pierce,
nope.
I'm probably going to go with Hoffman in the ninth.
Oh, thank you so much. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Ryan Gustin.
Yeah,
that kid's good around that track.
Yeah,
it is also a Ryan Gustin track.
It is very much.
You had me worried there, Curtis, that you were going to pick him, and I thought I was going to have to change it up there. But
no, I think that both of them are great picks.
Does anyone have an underdog that they want to take?
Ooh, Cole?
You got an underdog? I kind of want to hear this now. So
maybe doesn't Jake Tim run up there all the time?
He does, Jake Tim.
Yeah, he's been running pretty good.
Is that who you're gonna take, or is that your dad?
Nah, I'll take Chad Simpson.
Yeah,
there we go. What a surprise!
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the Simpson brothers obviously always do really good, and you're right. It would be really awesome to see them battling for the win.
So
I'll take Chris Simpson then. Yeah.
There kind of goes my idea. I'll take Ryan Unzinger if he's there.
He may still be doing summer national stuff, but
I don't know.
He's been running really good. He's been running really good on summer nationals too. So
if he ends up being there, which I've heard rumors that he could be there, that's who I'm going to take. If not, I'm going to take Tim McCready.
Very solid bet, especially the way.
I think he's definitely been an underdog, though. I mean,
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. He's, I think he said in Victory Lane the other night that he's kind of been stagnant on the same setup for about a month, and then they fine-tuned some stuff for Saturday night, and it was like, oh, hang on.
Yeah, It makes a big difference in that, and it's such a hard series to win in. These touring late model series are so difficult because they literally get some of the best to wheel a late model in them.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And then when they're able to intertwine with each other, when the Lucas Oil's off, or if World Outlaws are off, or if they can ever cross paths, it's just an action-packed event.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to see.
Which is cool. That happens a lot on that side. You don't see it as much on this side.
No, you're right. It's I think just at the end of the year, the late models run less shows than the sprint car guys do, so that gives them the opportunity to the two competing series not be on top of each other all the time.
Which is cool. So looking at points, you have Bobby Pierce.
Yep.
Back out front. Then you have Nick Hoffman, Ryan Gustin. You have your Rookie of the Year right now, Drake Troutman. Then Tim McCready, Dennis Erb, Ethan Dodson, Brian Shirley, Cody Overton, Tanner English, Ashton Winger, and Dustin Sorensen.
Yeah. That's a pretty stout top 10.
That's a stout top 10. Actually, top 12.
Oh,
stout
yeah.
top 12.
That's right.
That's a lot. That's a lot of very, very good late model drivers, modified drivers.
Tons of experience and tons of ability in that top 12. So
I'd like to know how many total years of racing is between the top 12 there. Because you have guys like Tim McCready and Dennis Erb Jr. who have been doing this for a hot minute,
Yeah, no
so it'd
doubt.
be cool to add all those up. Steve,
No
get
doubt.
on that. You have to add up how many years each of the top 12, the Royal Outlaw late model series of brand. It's going to be a while,
his calculator, the old computer spits out.
Yeah, so there's going to be some great racing this weekend. The Southern Iowa Speedway is off.
Yep, Southern Iowa Speedway's off. CJ and Marshalltown's also off, I think, Friday.
Yes.
CJ's running Friday on July 4th.
Knoxville Saturday.
Knoxville Saturday. I think Burlington Saturday.
Burlington.
Eddyville just had their big
60th anniversary.
Yeah, their Night of Fire last Saturday.
So they're off.
Yep. So so it's a few things to pick from. I think there's a couple figure eight tracks running. I think
there is.
I think
Is it
Brooklyn and
Brooklyn's
and
running and watch here.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
and then if you can't make it to a track, you can always watch again the late models, sprint cars, high limits. They're running at Florence in Kentucky. So
yeah, it'll be a good show. You got your streaming services that.
The BC 39 is going on right now as we speak.
Is it a 2-night deal? Is it tonight
yes.
or tomorrow night?
Yes,
okay.
2 nights.
So I knew that they kind of had the opening deal. So yeah, that's the midget track inside turn 3 of Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Which is crazy. It's in turn 3.
Yeah,
that's how big the inside of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's in turn 3, folks. Over there in turn 3.
You've come to the right place. You're just not at the exact right spot.
You got to go all the way over there.
Yeah, it's 5/8 of a mile that way. So.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. That's
a great
always an unbelievable show. And last Thursday night at Indianapolis Raceway Park, they had a tribute to Thursday Night Thunder.
That's right.
So they had some of the like Tony Stewart, Sammy Swindell, and Ron Capps, and some of the some very famous names in the auto racing world were there to kind of pay tribute to that, and they had a kind of a little bit of an all-star race, and then they had a more of a regular feature event as well. But that was really cool to see. As somebody that grew up on the Thursday and Saturday Night Thunder deal on ESPN,
which I did not, but I'm glad.
No,
you
missed
I'm glad
it,
you got to be part of that.
But
Curtis.
but YouTube is your friend on that.
But isn't it so cool to see that though, where we had where there was very exciting things in racing then, and there's still very exciting things in racing happening now as far with different touring series or whatever. I mean, it's so cool. It's something that is always changing, and they try to always be fans first.
Yeah, and I think speaking of that, it's a great time to be a race fan.
It is.
Because it really, you've got unprecedented access, to things, and that's I think that you've never had more ability to see more events at your fingertips, but at the same time, we also want to encourage people to if an event is happening close by,
please go support your local racetrack.
You can always watch the stream later get out to your local track because
I always say the stream is great for showing your friend that didn't get to go with you.
There you go. That's a wonderful way to put it. So, if you can, 4th of July weekend is a great weekend to celebrate our independence, and get out there, support your local track, enjoy some good all-American racing, and we'll be ready for next week.
And one last thing, don't forget I hate to talk about this, but the NASCAR is going to be at Chicago.
Yeah.
So American by NASCAR. Good job, guys. Hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, the old, no longer the Firecracker 400 in Daytona that was around forever.
Yeah, let's move it to the streets of Chicago.
Yeah, so hopefully it's a good show.
Maybe it won't rain.
It looks like there could be.
Oh, no, there we go. So that means a guy from New Zealand's going to win under a caution under
I'm
weather.
pretty confident that Shane Van Gisbergen's going to win no matter what. It doesn't really matter.
There you go. It doesn't get more American than a guy from New Zealand winning in the streets of the USA under a rain delay, because they always pick the same weekend. It always rains in Chicago.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Anyway, enjoy some racing, and again, celebrate America.
Yeah. God bless America. God bless our troops, and God bless racing. USA. There we go, folks. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we will see you next week live here from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. I'm Safe Grafke. That's Cole Vanderwall. This is Curtis Vanderwall, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, fellas. We do thank all of our sponsor. Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch is our host venue. Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Sinclair, Napa. We've also got Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Copeland Auto Body, James Family Greenhouse, and Sigourney Motors.